I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, cause we don't want your broken heart. Okay, so if you guys have not seen The Greatest Showman, then you won't understand that reference. But if you've seen The Greatest Showman, you get the reference. So if you haven't seen that movie, go watch the movie. Anyways, I'm gonna get on here and talk about my electrolysis experience, my reasoning for doing electrolysis, and just talk about how my sessions have been going. So let's talk about electrolysis, what it is, reasons why people get it. I think I have like a little, let's talk about electrolysis. So I decided to go with electrolysis because I have unwanted hair growth on my chin. I've had it since I was in middle school, actually. When I was in middle school, it wasn't really a lot of hair. It was only like one hair. But it was the most embarrassing thing ever. So let me tell you a story. Story time. So when I was in middle school, I used to go to an amusement park. It was called Busch Gardens, right? So Busch Gardens was the thing that everybody did. You had a season pass and you went to Busch Gardens. I'm at Busch Gardens. I'm about to get on the Alpengeist, y'all. About to get on the Alpengeist. I'm sitting on the bench. The guy that I'm on a date with says, he looks over, he said, "Ew, you got a hair on your neck." And it was probably one of the most embarrassing things that I've ever like experienced in my life. So that happened. And I was like, oh, I have chin hair. So then I went home, talked to my mom, and she was like, oh, your grandmother had chin hair. I don't have it, but your grandmother had it, yada, yada, yada. So later on in life, I was on birth control when I was a teenager, and I didn't have any hair growth. And I think partially that the reason for that was because there were no hormones. Like there were really no hormones. I don't know the science behind all that, but essentially I didn't have any hair growth when I was on birth control. So then I got older, I started doing research on birth control, and I decided, I was like, this ain't for me, baby. I can't mess with the birth control. I don't like the way that it affects my body, my mood, all that. So I stopped taking birth control. Anyway, so when I stopped taking birth control, I started to notice that the hair growth started to get a little bit more dense over time. So I was off birth control for maybe like 5 years, and like as the years progressed on, I noticed that more hair started to grow on my chin, and I would just wax it, pluck it, whatever I needed to do to get the hair off. And then it finally got to a point where I was like, okay, this is a lot of hair. So I was able to see it in pictures. Like you could sometimes see like the dark spots over here. It was just an insecurity. And my motto is, if you can't change it, learn to love it. But if you can change it, do something about it. And what that means is, if you are overweight, or if you don't like your size, or if you don't like your booty, whatever the thing is, instead of living in a state of shame and, oh, I wish I was this, if you can do something about it, girl, go change it. Like I didn't like my teeth, so I went and got braces. I didn't like my chin hair, so I looked into laser hair removal and electrolysis. So I decided, I was like, yeah, I really don't like this, and it's really an insecurity of mine, so I'm gonna do something to change it. So I did my research. At first, I was going to do laser hair removal, but in my research, I found that laser hair removal is not completely permanent, and laser hair removal is permanent hair reduction. Electrolysis is permanent hair removal. So with laser hair removal, obviously a laser is used, but with electrolysis, it is a needle and it's zapping the individual hair follicles. And so when I was doing my research, I was doing research, and some women were saying that when they did laser hair removal, like it actually caused the hair to grow back even thicker, or in an excessive amount. So I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. No chances. So what I did was I looked up electrolysis, and it sounded like it was something that I wanted to do, because I wanted permanent hair removal. And in my research, a lot of women were saying that they did electrolysis for their face and then laser hair removal for like the rest of their body. So I was like, okay, cool. So I did some research, and I found a couple of electrolysis providers, and then I found one. She was actually an African American. I asked questions. Obviously, y'all know me, I'm asked a lot of questions. Went there, and I was like, okay, cool. So I moved forward with the first appointment, and I love the experience. Like, and when I say the experience, I'm not talking about the experience of the needle going in my face, but more so of just the service that I received from this technician. So yeah, so I've had 2 sessions already. The first session, she actually decided to not do high settings, and the reason why, she said, is because your skin has to get used to the electrolysis, and you don't want to go in like zapping hair follicles at a high rate. So I'm guessing there's levels to it. So I went to my first session, and it actually wasn't that bad. I didn't do any lidocaine the first time. She just used her own lidocaine, but then later on I bought my own personal lidocaine, but she just used her lidocaine. The way that it feels is like little, like, I don't want to say bee stings, because I feel like bee stings are a little bit more painful, but I don't know. It just feels like a small needle going into your face. And the needle was very, 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 very tiny. But essentially what happens is they take the needle. It's like tiny, tiny, tiny and very thin. They put it into the hair follicle, and then the heat zaps the hair follicle. And the idea is that it zaps the hair follicle so that the hair does not grow back. And so today I have my second appointment. And the thing with electrolysis is that when you go, well, she told me, she was like, you shouldn't, like, you can't wax. So if you start electrolysis, you can't wax in between appointments. Like, you have to keep going, because if you wax the hair, then it's going to keep growing back even thicker, right? So like, once you do one treatment, if you start to have more hair grow in, you have to go back and get another treatment. Like, you can't just like electrolysis, wax, electrolysis, because it's going to mess up your whole process. So I was like, okay. So went in for my second session, and I would say that the hardest part about electrolysis is not being able to wax in between appointments. Like, because if I can't get in, then I'm just around here looking like the girl from The Greatest Showman. Like, I'm just around here looking like Bearded Shorty. No offense to Bearded Shorty, because I get it. And if you like your beard, wear it with pride. But for me personally, it was an insecurity of mine, and it was something that I wanted to change for myself. But no shade to anyone that loves their chin hair, because I ain't finna tell you that you need to change it. But anyways, but yeah, that's probably one of the hardest parts. Like I said, the pain from a level of 1 to 10, I would give it definitely a 10. It is very painful. I'm not even gonna lie to you. My pain tolerance is moderate. Like, I can take it, even though it hurts, I can take it. But it's pretty painful. Like, I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie to y'all. Like, it kind of hurts. But once it's over, it's like, that's it. So I did my second treatment today, and this is the solution for after treatment. It says 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt, 2 tablespoons of alcohol, 2 tablespoons of peroxide, 1 cup of hot water, mixed together, use with a hot compress on the face. So the first time, again, she didn't use high settings, but the second time she upped the settings. And she said that she would do it based on how my skin tolerated it. So my skin tolerated it very well today. My face is still a little painful, but all the hair is gone. So when you go for electrolysis, they get all the hair off. Like, there's no hair, and then it doesn't grow back for like 3 weeks. And then you keep going, and then you keep getting treatment. So in terms of the cost, I personally think that electrolysis is cheaper than laser hair removal, because laser hair removal is based off of like sessions, essentially. And you buy them in packages, whereas electrolysis is based off of time. So I think that my first session was like $100 for 45 minutes. But if you do the math, if you do 10 treatments, like, it's not bad compared to like laser hair removal. And then the other thing too is, as time goes on, the hair doesn't grow back. So like, once that follicle is zapped and the hair doesn't grow back, like, that's one less hair that you don't have to worry about. So as time goes on, your electrolysis duration of time appointment, the duration of the time of the appointment lessons. So like, for the first time, I think I said I did an hour, but I actually did 45 minutes. I did 45 minutes, and then like next time when I come, I may not have as much hair, so I may only have to do 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. So I like that idea. And I love the idea that it's permanent, so I won't have to worry about it. And yeah, like, I am excited to see final results. After the first time, she did tell me, she was like, you have to exfoliate. But the second time, she said because the heat was very high, that I should leave it alone for 3 days, let it heal, and then exfoliate and use my cleanser. So I can't do any cleansers for the next 3 days. I'm just excited to not have any hair grow on my chin because it's annoying. It's really annoying. And I know you guys are probably wondering if it is hormonal related and like why people grow hair on their chin. So for some people it is hormonal. Polycystic ovarian syndrome causes hair growth and on your chin and things like that, and like other areas. But some people, it's just genetic. Like my grandmother had hair on her chin. My mother didn't have it on her chin, so it skipped a generation, but then I got it. And so for me, I made sure that I went to a gynecologist, got an ultrasound, all that good stuff, have my testosterone levels tested, because if you have PCOS, usually your testosterone levels are elevated, which causes the hair growth and all that stuff. But I made sure that I went to my gynecologist to make sure that it was just genetic and it was not something that was hormonal, because hair growth on your chin can be a sign of PCOS. It's very common within African-American women and just women in general. But yeah, so we rolled that out. And I don't believe in Band-Aids. Like, I'm the kind of person, if something is going wrong in the body, I'm like, okay, let's go figure out what it is and not just throw a Band-Aid on it. Like, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't hormonal first before I move forward with electrolysis. Because the other thing that the technician told me, she said, if it is hormonal, then it's gonna be hard to zap all the hairs. But she was like, if it's genetic, then you should be okay. But she said if it's hormonal, then it's usually sometimes a little harder to like, it's gonna take longer for the hair to be removed versus if it's like genetic. So it's not hormonal. My ovaries look great. I don't have any cysts on my ovaries. No, we're not even no cysts on my ovaries, and everything's good. So yeah, I will keep you guys updated on the process. I did schedule an appointment for 3 weeks from now, and yeah, we'll go from there. We'll